Hi guys, welcome to your Best Self podcast channel. In this podcast channel, we're going to discuss a variety of topics. Topics like mindset, self-improvement, femininity, wellness, spirituality, self-love, self-care, confidence, charisma, glowing up, and all the important topics that are crucial to cover in order to unlock the best version of yourself. My mission here is to give you all the tips and tricks that you need in order to live a life full of confidence and full of purpose. I have been on my self-improvement journey for the past couple of years now. I took this journey inwards and I have learned a lot along the way, and it just has been so fulfilling learning about myself, improving myself, and becoming the best version of myself. And of course, I'm not fully there yet, but I have been through some big milestones, some big lessons, and I want to share these lessons with you. Firstly, to let you know that it's possible, and second, to give you the tips and tricks on how to do it. So, my purpose with this podcast channel is to show you how to be free without limitations, how to move out of a life that feels stagnant and instead lean into expansion. If that sounds like something you're into, then subscribe to my YouTube channel, podcast, my Apple podcast, or wherever you're listening from, and let's begin. This is the first episode of this podcast series, and I'm very excited to start covering all topics I have in mind that are going to help you take the first steps towards becoming your best self. In this first episode, we're starting off strong with the topic of rebranding yourself. You might have been, or you might be right now, in a position where you don't like yourself. You don't like where you are, you don't like who you are, or you simply feel like you could be more. Well, even though it might not feel like a good thing, this is definitely a positive sign that you're ready to go to the next level in your life. You're ready for an upgrade. The tricky part is that although a lot of people might feel this itch to change things that they're not satisfied with themselves, they don't actually take the actions that are necessary to follow through. They think that they're just doomed to be in that state forever, no change, no alteration, and they just simply compromise, selling out what they want and their dreams of something better for the comfort of staying where they are because it just feels safe. The thing is, if you don't like yourself, you can simply change yourself. And the instruction is simple, the execution of it is, well, not so much. This statement might sound controversial and that it goes against the principles of self-love, self-acceptance, and self-appreciation, but it's actually allowing and encourages them to happen. It's not about hating who you are, denying yourself and rejecting your current self and trying to be something that you are not, but actually it's all about loving yourself enough to say, my current situation is just not working for me. It's just not fulfilling me and is not making me happy. So I choose to change myself out of love because I deserve better than that. Whether that has to do with your appearance, whether that has to do with your environment, your mindset, your personality, and your character. This is a statement that allows you to get into a path that will take you to your version of self that you always wanted and you always aspired to be. This is going to lead you to your best self. So I was looking at an old video of me the other day, and I realized while I was watching that person how she was acting, talking, moving, and looking, and I realized, I'm not that person anymore. I didn't even recognize her. I faintly remember what she was thinking, and all I could think about is how much I do not relate with that person. I don't relate with her beliefs, her thoughts, her emotions, her whole reality, the way she spoke, and we had nothing in common. And that's when it hit me, I am not her. And even though I realized I changed a lot the past couple of years, I didn't realize how drastic that change was until I saw that video and how striking the difference was in all manners. In my mind, I'm carrying all the versions of me since I was a fetus, right? My kindergarten self, my high school self, my teen self, my uni self, and so on. So we carry all these versions of us in our body and in our mind, and it gives us the impression that just because I'm still carrying these versions with me, that means I still am that person to some extent. The truth is that all we do is just carry the memories of that person, of that version of that person. And those memories are linked to thoughts and emotions that, yes, they might trigger reaction from us in current circumstances, but that's it. That's all we carry from that person, just their memories. And just because we carry the memories of that person, it doesn't mean that we still are that version of us. And at least that's how it feels for me. I don't carry anything else, not the behaviors, not the beliefs, not the habits, the actions, the thoughts, the abilities, the limitations. I'm a completely different person. But in order to do that, it takes awareness, it takes commitment, intention, and of course, it takes action. And I'll go more into that later. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that people can change in the context of changing other people. We are not in the business of changing people here. This podcast channel is all about changing and improving ourselves. We are here to improve things that are in our control. But, well, let me tell you a secret. A whole lot of things that are not in our control can change when we change ourselves. A lot of my outside world changed when I changed me, when I stopped trying to change things outside of me, but instead took a look inside and I started changing from within. My life basically took a 180-degree change. That internal change soon completely changed everything about my external life. So from feeling not connected with myself, unattractive, non-charismatic, not a person that could be in a relationship, well, once I started changing the way I saw myself and I started being intentional with the traits I wanted to have, my reality changed too. Once I started doing things I never thought I would, my life started being like it never has been before. And all I'm saying is that it's possible for you too. So I'm going to tell you how I did it, but I have to tell you this first. This process is not linear, but it requires a lot of course correction as you go. So first thing I did was to discover who I was at that moment, my good and my bad, the things that I liked about me and I wanted to take with me to the next version of myself, and the things that I didn't like so much and that were not serving me anymore and that I wouldn't want to carry with me. There are different ways to do this. Personally, I did a combination of journaling and shadow work. And if you don't know what shadow work is, basically it's a series of questions that as you answer them, you become aware of a lot of hidden and shadow aspects of yourself. Like a lot of limiting beliefs that you weren't even aware they existed in you. And as you're answering these questions and discover these limitations, you're able to become an external observer of these beliefs. And then you get to choose if you actually believe them as true. If this is a belief, for example, that is serving you, and if you wish to keep believing in it, you can keep it. If you don't, you can simply argue against how this belief is not actually true by giving examples of circumstances that prove that, you know? So shadow work and journaling is very impactful for rebranding yourself because it allows you to unpack all of your old past baggage you've been carrying for so long, and it lets you become free from it. You write it down on a piece of paper, you acknowledge them, and you let them go. You're leaving them behind in that piece of paper. And that is necessary in becoming the new version of you, because your old and your new self can't coexist. And since you're carrying old baggage with you that inevitably just keeps you in the same old self version, in the old self loop, it just stops you from stepping into the new version of yourself. And that just shows the power of letting go of what is not serving us, because that can be a catalyst of change. After making this audit with yourself, you get to become aware and mindful of the way you act already. So you could be mindful when you notice yourself acting in a way that you don't like. And you can be like, oh yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. So you catch yourself and you try to change that reaction that comes up to a reaction that you want. Then what we do is to create the new version of the self we want to be. So basically go through a reinvention process where we try to create a new avatar. This reinvention process follows the previous step of elimination of any habits and traits we don't wish to carry with us anymore. And now we get to the step of adding things. So adding habits, beliefs, actions, emotions, thoughts, traits, and qualities that we would like to have. So we try to envision, what is that new version of myself? What is the best version of myself like? Start from the characteristics and the traits of the personality you want to have. Then decide on your new beliefs, your new habits, your way of acting, your way of talking and moving. This way, you get to build your new avatar. You get to have an image of what you are capable of becoming, because that's what you intend truly to be like. But try to be as authentic as you can. Keep qualities and traits that come easy for you. For example, if you're sensitive, soft, feminine person, don't try to force yourself in an identity of a dark, feminine, siren body, you know? It's possible, of course, but you'll need to readjust a lot of your character in order to become that. And this process needs a balance of acceptance of who we are, but also having a think big attitude of how much more we can become. So for me, I was not happy with the way I showed up to people, to myself. I felt no connection to who I was. I didn't even know who I was and what were my good and my bad habits and my traits. And so it was easy for me to have zero self-awareness. I was just floating through life and was letting whatever come my way to just take me with it, because I had no sense of what it was for me and what was not. I went through my uni years not having any idea of who I was, but trying to define myself through my friends, my social life, and social activities. I would do what my friends were doing. My guidance was all external. There was no following of any inner guidance. And that made sense for me, since I spent my teen years to be guided by my family, looking for their validation. So my validation rarely came from my inner guide, but was always taken from the outside. So you can understand how this snowball effect slowly got out of control, and it just left me really unsatisfied with myself. So the year after uni, I had a lot of time for myself, so I took that introspection period to get to know me and to start becoming aware of me, my wants, my likes, my dislikes, and I started doing things that brought me joy, you know? And it was a year that I was either at a cafe, studying, in a bookstore, finding a new book to read, meditating, journaling, or being in nature, taking a nature walk, listening to a podcast. And that introspection year gave me more insight of myself than I ever had in the past 20 years of my life. And from there, I started deciding who is the new version of me that I want to create. I made that decision not from outside pressure and coercion, but from internal guidance and love. I wanted the best for myself, so I was looking at ways to do that. I decided that the new version of me was a secure, confident person that is not a people pleaser, that doesn't compromise her wants and needs for the wants of others. A person that prioritizes herself, a person that has positive and productive habits like reading, meditating, journaling, and so on. So I finally chose to see the true version of me and the version that aligned with me so easily, and just added a bit more glitter to her to make her a bit more fun, a bit more exciting. And I can tell you with certainty, I haven't been more happier with myself than when I chose to be the best version of myself. And this led to a snowball effect of changes. This rebranding mindset leaks into all other areas of my life because I saw the difference and the impact it had already. So I just chose to apply it for other areas of my life that I wanted to also improve. So I changed the way I saw myself in relationships, in friendships. I chose to no longer be a shy, awkward, closed person, but I chose to be more open, more confident, more witty and charming because I knew already I could be that. I just chose to not let that part of me come out in relationships. I chose to take off men from the pedestal and instead make dating fun. And if something didn't happen as I expected it, then for me, it was no harm, no foul. I knew how strong I was, and I didn't need the external validation of boys to confirm this to me. I was able to give that validation to myself, and I was able to see that if something didn't work out, it's simply because we're not right for each other and that there's something better waiting along for me. The best and the most favorite trait of my new version of me was how uncompromising I became. I no longer settled for whatever. I now knew what I wanted and I decided that this is what I deserved. And that's precisely what I got. Now I'm in a happy and in a healthy relationship with the man of my dreams, who also sees me as his dream girl. I'm working at a job that not only has amazing perks and benefits, but is also a job that I actually enjoy and it energizes me. I'm traveling and I'm living the life that I wanted to live in my 20s since I was a kid. And the reason why I'm saying this is because this is possible for you. All you need to do is to believe that you can have it and go after it. Because trust me when I say this, it's never too late to become your best self. Your best self is there waiting for you to become it and to finally start living your best life. This is all for today. Thank you for joining this first podcast. I hope you learned something and stay tuned for the next one. See you.